GOATs recently, and their 7-time Super Bowl champ Tom Brady was numero uno on that list. Brady followed by Michael Jordan, Wayne Gretzky, Tiger Woods, and Serena Williams. We bring in 2-time Super Bowl champ Damian Woody to the conversation. Damian, top of the morning to you, sir. I will get to you in just a moment, but I need to start with Max Kellerman first, because Max, I understand you're not really a fan of this list, so could you please give me your top 5 GOATs?
That is an awful list. Oh, NFL.com put Tom Brady #1. That's a shocker. An awful list. Let me give you the real list, and give me a second here. Let me give you my explanations.
Sure.
#1's Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan's the greatest athlete of all time. I think everyone knows that. If the fate of the universe was on the line and everyone around the world had to take a vote, who do you give the ball to at the end? Any sport. Everyone's giving it to Michael Jordan. He's going to win that in a landslide. He's #1. He spent 10 years as the best player in the world. Was 6 for 6 with 6 KOs in championships. Babe Ruth is #2. I know he played a million years ago, but guys, he was not only the best hitter and player in the league for more than 10 years, every single year. He was also one of the greatest pitchers of all time, and not just one of the greatest pitchers of all time in the regular season. He was one of the greatest postseason pitchers of all time. He was like Barry Bonds and Sandy Koufax in one player, and he did it forever. He's #2. #3, Muhammad Ali. Not the best pound-for-pound fighter ever, but guys, no one else on this list has to do a pound-for-pound. You know, Tom Brady doesn't get to play, doesn't have to worry about being compared to small quarterbacks. Although Doug Flutie will play in his own league. Oh, my God, Doug Flutie's the best 5'6" quarterback, so he's better than Tom Brady. No. Muhammad Ali would have, like Sugar Ray Robinson's the greatest ever, Ali would have beaten the hell out of him. He's bigger. Not his fault he competes in a sport that stratifies according to weight and discounts him somehow. He was also the best in the world for a very long period of time and hit the highest heights. Serena Williams. Look, don't tell me Margaret Court and all that. 23 Grand Slam championships in the modern era, hit the highest peak, spent almost the most time at #1 of anyone ever with the highest peak. She's the greatest. Now, Tom Brady, he's on the list. That's amazing. You know why it's amazing? Because for career accomplishment, he's definitely on the list. And his peak was among the best ever. How many years, unlike everyone else on this list, was Tom Brady, did we look and say that's the best player in football? There were some, but there were many years where we thought Peyton Manning was better for good reason, Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes. I think to be high up #1 on the list, you not only need the career accomplishments, which everyone on this list has, but you need to have peaks where people said consistently, that's the best in the world. By the way, Tiger doesn't belong on that list either. Jack Nicklaus won more majors and finished 2nd and 3rd more often than Tiger Woods. So that's the real list. Go ahead, guys.
Well, let me say this to you. I appreciate where you're coming from. Babe Ruth is not on my list. And the reason why he's not on my list is because I don't recall him playing against black players. Am I missing something?
That's not his fault. He didn't
I
make those rules.
I understand that's not his fault, but the level of competition that you're forced to go up against does have some relevance when we're talking about the greatest of all time. And if you're going to ostracize a race of people, particularly when they had some of the greatest players that ever played this game, and you omit them from competition, it's hard for me to put Babe Ruth on that list. Even though some people tried to say he actually tried to help black players ultimately get included into sport. I don't know how true.
And that, by the way, he was part black. That's also their scholarship on that.
Exactly. So I mean, it is what it is. But what did he play from 1914 to 1935? Now I'm not going for that. I would tell you that even though you know how much I love MJ, 6-time NBA champion, 6-time NBA Finals MVP, undefeated in championship competition, I would still have MJ as #2 on my list because I'm not putting anybody ahead of Muhammad Ali because I take into account the level of adversity you had to face in pursuit of your excellence. And when I think about it from that perspective, that's why I put Ali over Michael Jordan. Ali getting denied the opportunity to fight for years, getting stripped of the heavyweight crown because of his refusal to enter the army because he didn't want to participate in the Vietnam War and all of this other stuff, and him being a member of the Nation of Islam and some of the adversity that created, him being stripped of his title, not being allowed to fight, and then coming back after losing to Joe Frazier and ultimately coming back to avenge that loss and then beating George Foreman. George Foreman was Mike Tyson before there was Mike Tyson. Well, we understand how vicious and menacing it was. I'll tell you a personal story, Max and Damian and Molly. My father, God rest his soul, was the biggest Ali fan ever. My father cried before the fight because he was scared Muhammad Ali was going to die.
Ali's own people were scared of that.
That's how menacing.
Oh my gosh.
You know this. That's how menacing George Foreman was. He was so scary. They thought Ali was going to die, and he was crying before the fight because he was scared that that would be the last time we saw Muhammad Ali alive. So I got Ali at number 1. I got MJ at number 2. I have the great Serena Williams at number 3. Let me tell you who I put at number 4. I have to put Bill Russell. I'm sorry to stay in the sport of basketball. 11-time champion in 13 years. Oh, by the way, 2 of those titles he won, not just as a player, but a player coach. In Boston, Massachusetts, this man was coaching and playing and leading folks to an NBA championship. This man is still scarred to this very day at some of the vitriol that was aimed in his direction when he was leading them to championships, and still he led them to championships as a player and as a player coach. That is phenomenal. And last but not least would be Tom Brady, because of what Tom Brady just accomplished. So my 5 would be Ali, MJ, Serena Williams, Bill Russell, Tom Brady.
Well, listen, both of your lists are really good. I'm going to say, I think both of y'all omitted Wayne Gretzky. I know we don't like talking about hockey here, but I mean, if you look at Wayne Gretzky, the guy they call the Great One, I mean, you're talking about a guy who had 9 MVPs, 9 league MVP, 4 titles. He holds every scoring record in the NHL to this day. He retired in 1999, and think of all the great scoring players that have come behind him, and he still dominates all the record books for the National Hockey League. So I'm going to have to put Wayne Gretzky in there. But as far as my list, I would have Tom Brady at 5, because when I look at Brady and everything he's done, and I consider him the GOAT quarterback. But I always think about, in football, you need so many things, so many players to play well around you in order for you to have the ultimate type of success that Tom Brady has had. And he's had a lot of success, particularly in the latter part of his career. But I don't know if Tom Brady has been the best quarterback, has dominated his position like some of the great athletes that we have on this list, whether it's Serena Williams, whether it's Michael Jordan, Muhammad Ali, Wayne Gretzky. Tom Brady, as far as quarterback play and accolades, he's number 1. But I don't know if he dominated the quarterback position like those other players that I talked about dominated theirs. So I'm going to put Brady at 5, but I got Wayne Gretzky on my list.
I want to answer 3 of the points you guys made. 2 from you, Stephen A. 1, Muhammad Ali. If you count off the field of play accomplishments, which is perfectly legitimate, Ali is 1. Ali is 1. Retire the prize, right? By the way, Pele should be in there somewhere too, probably. Here's the issue I have. Yes. Here's the issue I have with Gretzky. Then I want to mention the thing about Babe Ruth. Gretzky, sure, individual performance, but I can't get past, when we're talking about the GOAT of all GOATs, he never won a championship after Edmonton. Never won a Stanley Cup. Messier did. You know, he had a good team in L.A. He couldn't quite get it done. And to me, when you compare the GOATs together, that counts against a little bit. We're splitting hairs, I know, but that's the exercise. Babe Ruth, I agree with you, Stephen A. Not only was it a million years ago, competition wasn't the same. They excluded black players back then. Only thing I'll say about Babe Ruth, the reason I still have him too, is he's like Josh Gibson, the great Negro League catcher and maybe the greatest hitter ever in the history of that league, and Satchel Paige combined. Like, it's one thing if he was just a little better than all the hitters. He was way better than all the hitters in Major League Baseball. He was also the best clutch pitcher. So, like, no one else has ever done that in any league.
Let me challenge you on that. I get where you're coming from, Max, and I respect your point. I truly do. What I would say to you in response to that is that ultimately it's against the competition. Max, if I'm on a basketball court and I'm playing against somebody that can't play, that's entirely different than me playing against LeBron or D. Wade or KD or somebody. The level of competition that you're faced to go up against matters. When you're Damian Woody and you're a 2-time champion and you walk around with those rings on your finger, you know why it matters? It's because of the league that you played in, the fact that it's considered the creme de la creme, the elite, and you will still walked away on top. If you was number one as an adult, but you were playing against Pop Warner, it wouldn't mean as much. The fact that you go up against the creme de la creme does matter. And when it comes to Babe Ruth, again, it's not his fault. But in the end, if you haven't gone against black players, and we've seen how great black players can be, we've seen the Satchel Pages, the Jackie Robinsons and others, even Larry Doby and others. We've seen great players throughout Major League Baseball history who happen to be black, and you were kept out of competing.
I get it.
And your numbers were proliferated because you went up against suspect competition. I'm sorry, you don't get it. And especially me as a black man, I'm going to give you, or I'm going to put you, you can put them on the
legit.
list, but I'm going to put you on my top 5 list, and you didn't go against my people? Hell
That's
no,
legit.
I'm not doing
That's legit, Stephen A. The only reason I have him there, because I think that's a powerful argument, is no one in any league ever, Negro leagues, major leagues, international leagues, ever did what Babe Ruth did, ever, in any league. So to me, that really tells me something. But anyway, I think both of your lists are pretty good. Bill Russell also played in a league that wasn't nearly as competitive as it became.
Well, it wasn't competitive, but it was what it was. In other words, there were black and white players in the league. You went up against the competition that was great, but
he was the winner.
A segment of our populace wasn't ostracized and omitted from playing. So I can't hold that against Bill Russell. In his time, he was playing against what was perceived as the best at that particular moment in time, and he dominated as a player and then won as a coach while playing in Boston.
Boston fielded the first all African-American starting 5, by the way.
That's true.
Interesting. All right, Damien, thank you so much for being with us. I'll wrap it up by saying this. When ESPN did its Sports Century retrospective 21 years ago, so more than 2 decades ago, this was the list. MJ, Babe Ruth, Muhammad Ali, Jim Brown, Wayne Gretzky.
Yeah, we left
That'll
Jim
do
Brown
it for now, but this debate is never over. The GOAT debate.
Got to put Gretzky in there. I get
All
it.
right,
But you don't have to put
21 years
Babe
ago
Ruth in
hasn't changed it all that much. We'll leave it there, guys. When we come back.